Hi, in this video, we're going to look at ratios and proportions. A ratio is just a fancy word for fraction. It's a comparison of two quantities using division. So when we see the word ratio, we want to just think about it being fancy for fraction. It's just a fancy word for fraction. There are three ways to write a ratio, and not all of them look like fractions. The first way to write a ratio is as a sentence. So let's say I was comparing apples and bananas. I could write a ratio as the number of apples to the number of bananas as a sentence. Okay? The second way we do it is with a colon. So to do it with a colon, we would compare apples to bananas. Apples, and then we would write a colon, and then the quantity of bananas. Okay, and then last is the way we'll most usually do it because we want to be able to work with our ratios, and that's going to be as a fraction. So if we say apples to bananas or apples colon bananas, whatever comes first when you write it as a fraction, that's going to go on top. So we're going to do apples on top, and on the bottom we're going to do bananas. Okay, a super important thing to always remember to do every single time is going to be to reduce your ratios. You never want to have an unreduced ratio if you're giving that to me as an answer. So make sure you always reduce it. If you're going to use it in a math problem, then it's not so important that it's reduced. But if it's your final answer, it needs to be a reduced ratio. Okay, so we're going to look at three examples, and we're going to write all three formats for each example. Okay, I generally start with the fraction so that I can reduce it, and then from there, I'll go to the sentence and the colon. So let's look at the first one. In Logan's High School, there are 190 teachers and 2,650 students. What is the approximate student-to-teacher ratio? So when I look at this one, and I'm looking at the student-to-teacher ratio, the order here is important. Order is important. Whatever comes first is going to go on the top of my fraction, and whatever comes second is going to go on the bottom of my fraction. So when I look in here and I see 190 teachers, I know that's going to go on the top of my fraction, teachers on the bottom. So that's going to be on the bottom of the fraction. So when I write a fraction, I'm going to put that 190 on the bottom. Okay, and then there are 2,650 students, and students goes on the top. So my 2,650 is going to go on the top, and remember we always want to reduce our fractions. So when I reduce that, I can see they both divide evenly by 10, and then let's see, nothing goes into 19 but 1 and 19, so that's going to be as far as that reduces. Okay, we're going to write in all three formats. Since I already have the fraction there, I'm going to put that one first. 265 to 19. So that's as a fraction. Then we can do it as a colon. We can say 265 to 19. And then we can also do it as a sentence. So 265 to 19. So all three forms of the same ratio. Okay? All right, let's look at number 2. When I look at number 2, in a schedule of 6 classes, Maria has 2 elective classes. What is the ratio of elective to non-elective classes? Okay, so again, I'm going to look here and see it says elective to non-elective classes. So that means elective is going to go on the top and non-elective is going to go on the bottom. So I can see that I have 2 elective classes. Elective classes goes on top, and then non-elective classes goes on the bottom, but it doesn't tell me how many non-elective classes. It says she has 6 classes, so that's how many total she has. If 2 of those are elective, how many must be non-elective, right? So 4 of them have to be non-elective. So we're looking at 2 over 4, which reduces to 1/2. So there's my fraction, And I know it's 1/2, but if we want to read it as a ratio, we'll still read 1 to 2. Okay, and then as with a colon, 1 to 2. And then in a sentence, we're going to say 1 to 2. So there's all three forms of the same fraction. Okay, all right, let's look at the last one over here. For the last one, 1 ounce of cheddar cheese has 9 grams of fat. 6 grams are saturated fat. What is the ratio of saturated fat to non-saturated fat? Okay, so again, we're looking at the ratio of saturated fat to non-saturated. So my saturated goes on top, and my non-saturated is going to go on the bottom. So we have 9 grams of fat. That's not specific, right? This doesn't say if we're talking saturated or non-saturated. 6 are saturated. Saturated goes on top. Okay, so I know I'm going to put the 6 on top, and my non-saturated is going to go on the bottom, which they didn't tell me, but if 6 of them are saturated, and there's 9 total, that means 3 of them have to be non-saturated. I just subtracted so that my 6 and my 3 together makes my 9. Okay, now when I reduce that reduces to 2, right? 6 divided by 3 is 2. But we want this to look like a ratio, which means we need it to be comparing 2 quantities. And right here, I only have one number. So to make this still a ratio, so that it's comparing 2 quantities, I'm still going to write it over 1. Okay, so 2 to 1 as a fraction, 2 to 1 with a colon, and then 2 to 1 as a sentence. Okay? All right, thank you so much for watching this first portion and introduction or review of ratios. And in the next video, we're going to talk about extended ratios. Thank you for watching.